Now, this has been one of the most difficult bike reviews to do until now, not because there's particularly anything wrong with the Tenere 700, it's just difficult to figure it out. Is it an enduro bike? Is it an adventure bike with off-road bias? Is it good for long stretches of paved roads? All very good questions. Come along for the journey. Hopefully I've figured it out and maybe also found some of its dirty secrets. Being a mid-size bike, it's definitely not out of the question that some people will ride the T7 in the city. So, how does it fare?
Being on a tall bike in the city is definitely an advantage, a huge advantage. I can basically see over everyone. That's just going to make riding in the city a lot easier. The bike is extremely maneuverable. What bothers me in the city is that every time I open the throttle, I get a kick from the engine. And it doesn't matter at what speed. See, if I'm off the throttle now and I open it, I immediately get a kick. And that gets old very fast. The brakes are also not very responsive initially. They don't have that bite in the beginning, but they do the job afterwards. That's exactly what you want for off-road. You don't want that initial bite, but for city riding or just normal back roads, you do want that. I'm sitting very comfortably on it. They really got this geometry right. Our favorite stop street. Let's see if there's any heat from the engine. I highly doubt it. If there was, all the MT-07 people would have moaned by now. Absolutely nothing. It's brilliant. Now that exhaust note is surely gonna get a lot of attention. I love it. It growls like a bear. The complete opposite of what the horn does. That's just like a little cat. I don't understand why motorcycle companies, and it's not just Yamaha, it's a lot of them, it's like they buy the cheapest horns possible, so you're embarrassed to even use them. But the exhaust, woo-hoo-hoo.
Now, obviously, on your way to ride the dunes of Morocco or the peak of Everest on your new Tenere, you obviously have to do some good old-fashioned paved roads.
An off-road bike on the road. You know what? This is surprisingly very comfortable. If I had to describe the suspension in one word, that would be puffy. And that is no bad thing, because that's exactly how I like it. I'm gonna say this in every single review that I do. I know the road looks fine. That is just GoPro lying to you. The roads in Romania are bumpy, full of potholes. So when I say puffy, I mean exactly what I want to be comfortable. That 21-inch front wheel is definitely doing its job, just floating over any sort of bumps, potholes. The standard suspension can be adjusted to be more, to be harder if that's what you want. But at the moment I'm very happy with it being puffy on the front. You kind of have to get used to it diving when you brake, but you can make it harder if that's what you're into. The back spring, I know that comes from the factory, kind of tuned to a ride of 75-ish Ks, which obviously I'm not, but that just means for me that it's very soft, and that's exactly what I want. So I'm happy with the suspension on bumpy roads. The engine, we all know it from the MT-07. Some would call it boring. Its power delivery is very linear, but I don't mind it. It's definitely not a sporty engine on road, but it's been proven to be extremely reliable, and that's what you want on a machine that you do long rides on. I do feel a bit of jerkiness from it whenever I accelerate. Like now I'm getting kicked, but I am in 6th. Oh, and by the way, The gears on the T7 are more of a guideline from the engine. The bike will chug along as happy as ever from any gear. Takes a while, but it really doesn't care at all what gear you're in. The little kick when you put the power on in the beginning is it's trying different gears. It gets irritating, but mostly in the city. You get it in 5th, you get it in 6th as well. It's almost like the chain is loose, but it's not loose because this is a brand new bike. Now I said it's not a sporty bike, and it's really not, but that sound that comes out of that exhaust is just addictive. I would see no reason to put any other sort of aftermarket can on this. It's brilliant. Yamaha has also nailed the mirrors. They don't vibrate absolutely at all, and I can see everything clearly. Well done.
The moment of truth, the reason why we're all here. How does she handle off-road? Apparently her domain.
Okay, first time going off-road, no riding modes to set, no traction control to turn off. Got that sound. I'm gonna leave ABS on. You can turn it off using this button over here, but I'm gonna leave it on because turning it off also turns the front wheel ABS off, and that is not something I'm comfortable with. I understand you wanting to take the rear ABS off, but there's no reason to turn the front wheel off because even on off-road you never know what surprises you're gonna get. So I'm just gonna leave them both on because I don't plan on skidding anyway. Man, that 21-incher on the front, it's doing its job so well. I've chosen this route because I ride it very often on a lot of different bikes, and I sort of know how it should feel. The Tenere is just floating over all of these bumps. They're not coming through to my hands, they're not coming through to my butt, and I'm sitting down at the moment. The other thing that I've noticed is that the T7's very naughty. It inspires so much confidence in you that you really do think you are a rally rider, a Dakar rider. You're not. You're just a normal human being riding the same trail, but this is the first time that I feel I'm doing 50, 60 here. I don't do that usually here. This confidence inspiring is a good thing, and obviously a bad thing, because when it lets go, I don't want to test that, but I'm sure it's not going to be fun. But at the moment, you can see it, I do have a huge smile on my face. Again, I am sitting down and I'm not feeling bumps. I'm not feeling what I should be feeling. It's not just a 21-inch wheel, that helps a lot obviously, but the suspension, the way it's designed, the geometry of the bike. This is the first bike that I am standing on, stock from factory, and I don't have to put any handlebar risers on. Yamaha really did a very good job on its off-road prowess. It took them a while, but this is fun. This is a lot of fun. It's not light, don't get me wrong. I don't want to drop this. Picking up a 204 kilogram bike is not a fun time. 120 kilograms, now that's a light off-road bike. Those are enduros. It's fine, I'm sure we can find the road. There we go. Oh my god. It's fine. Don't freak out. Here's the road. Even riding off-road, that exhaust sound just lifts your spirits. Well, this is not a difficult off-road trail, it's not technical. It can get rather difficult if it's rained and it's muddy, but I have a feeling that this is what most of us will be riding. Literally just floating over everything. There is no reason personally that I would make the suspension harder. even if that's what the book says, because I'm heavier. Look at that. Easy peasy. ABS just kicked in, well done. I've ridden this a couple of times when it was muddy. Not a lot of fun, let me tell you. I don't do jumps or crazy stunts. I'm more of a chill out rider. My top life goal is to not meet any nurses or doctors. That's why I just ride slow and steady. Okay, so the Tenere really does make riding off-road a lot easier. That's it, full stop. And I guess that's exactly what its job was, so mission accomplished, Yamaha.
Alright, I've got a couple of questions that you guys have sent in. First one, the most important question for me, is it a good road bike? It's an okay road bike. It can't be a good off-road and on-road bike. If you don't have a problem with the lack of traction control or tire pressure monitors, any other sort of safety systems, then the T7 is perfectly comfortable for long journeys on-road. The suspension's fine, the large front wheel just goes over any pothole whatsoever. It's comfortable, it's fine. Do you recommend it for a beginner rider? If you're fine with its height, the engine's not that powerful for you to get into any real trouble. So you're gonna have a lot of fun learning off-road riding if you're a beginner rider on it. So yeah, it's fine for beginner riders. Is suspension doable or is upgrade a must? Suspension is fine on it. There's no real problem with suspension. I know this is a hot topic online. For 99% of us, the suspension is fine. What you might need to change is the standard factory spring. That's suited for about 75 kilograms as far as I know. If you weigh more than that, less than that, I doubt it. But if you weigh more than that, then you need to get one that is specifically made for you. But no, normal day-to-day use, there's really no reason to mess around with the suspension. Cluster vibrations, acceleration grip, is it very loose cluster? It vibrates a lot. It doesn't bother me in the least whatsoever. It's still very readable on off-road at high speed. Let it vibrate. Acceleration, the one that I'm riding, it's perfectly fine. There's absolutely no play on it. It's good. Is it better than the 790R? No. Does lack of traction control affect riding off-road? Not at all. Traction control is not used off-road. Most people with traction control will turn it off off-road because you want your back wheel to spin. That's useful for on-road. If you're riding, on wet roads, cornering, stuff like that. It will save you. That's what it does. Does it have a shaft drive, heated grips and cruise control? No, it doesn't have a shaft drive. No, it doesn't have cruise control. And heated grips, yes, they are available, but they are optional, so you have to buy those separately. What about the seat? Is it hard enough to make Dave's voice thinner? The seat is very hard, and it would be the first thing that I would replace on it if I got one. We haven't become friends at all, me and this seat. Could it replace your BMW? No, they're not competing against each other. They're not in the same brackets. BMW's double the price. And it doesn't bother me that it's a heavy bike. This is not a light bike either. This is 200 kilograms without anything on it. Yes, it's a lot easier to pick it up than the BM if that falls over, but at the same time, if you have to pick them up 3 times in one day, you're gonna be tired anyway, so it's not gonna make a difference. It is easier to ride off-road. If you do trailing, if you fall off a lot, then yes, it is easier to pick up. But I have no real reason to change that bike now because it's capable enough off-road, and all the comfort it offers me on-road and in the city and day-to-day riding is it's perfect for me.
Using the T7 as a highway commuter is the same as getting an elephant to wash your car. It can be done, but there are much better tools for the job.
The main complaint is the sheer amount of noise in my helmet from all the wind right now. Even at 130, the bike feels stable enough for you to do whatever highway riding you need to do. Not a lot of vibration, there is some, but It's bearable, it's fine. Arms, elbows, my entire head, they are not lucky enough to get wind protection. Neither are my legs, but my hands are, because of the handguards. At 130 it's sitting at around 6,000 RPM, and you've definitely got enough power left if you need to overtake. That's a nice little engine.
The one thing which impressed me quite a lot on the highway is the sheer stability the T7 has. Even if the wind was pummeling me left and right, the bike didn't change direction and it felt like it was on rails. Quite surprising. On any bike you ride, there is always the chance that you will be riding at night as well, so a good lighting system is a must. The Tenere 700 comes with full LED lights, 2 for the low beam and 2 for the high beam. Mine were adjusted a bit low, but they are adjustable for up and down. All in all, the stock lighting solution is more than adequate, even if it vibrates quite a lot on bumpy roads. Unfortunately, the LCD display does not invert its colors at night, so you are stuck with this very bright tablet in front of you, and the same goes for the light glow which comes through the windscreen's edges.
Conclusion time. I brought some notes because I don't want to forget anything. The T7 basically has no competition in its price bracket. There's no other bike under $10,000 that it can compete with. This was the target price Yamaha was aiming from the beginning, and they marketed it as a simple, no frills, but very capable bike. They've drilled it into our heads in the last 4 years of marketing before it came out that we're not gonna see such luxuries like cruise control or traction control, to the point that even we go out now and say, hey, less is more, I don't need all of that stuff. And this would have been fine if the T7 was $8,500, not $10,000. Because you see, this base version that I've got here, I wouldn't take anywhere but these sort of trails around my house. I wouldn't go on any long cross-country adventures with the way it's set up now. And by the time you've added a proper skid plate, crash bars, a center stand, clutch and brake levers which won't leave you stranded when they break, you're at around $11,000. And at that price, I'm not gonna forgive Yamaha for the drastic cost cutting. It's like they spent 99% of the time designing the frame, the suspension, the geometry of the bike. They got all of that right, and for the rest of it, 1% of the time. The fuel filler cap is the definition of an afterthought. You slot your key in, you take it out, and then what do you do with it? Where do you put it? These might seem nitpicky things, but if you live with the T7 every day, they're gonna start to matter pretty quickly. The fact that it comes with tube tires is a deal breaker for me, because if I got a flat, that's it, the day's fun is over. Actually, if we got a flat today, there wouldn't be any review of it because it's Sunday. What am I gonna do? Leave it here. Circling back, even at $11,000 with just the basic add-on parts on it, it's still got no competition there. But the gap has maybe closed just a little for you to bite the bullet and get a bike which comes with cruise control, which comes with the ability to add a quick shifter later if you want, which has traction control, which has phone connectivity, and definitely comes with tubeless tires. But by the end of the day, if you don't care about any of that stuff, the Tenere 700 is a brilliant bike which gets the basics completely right, and even in its base configuration, it is a lot more capable than 99% of us will ever push it. Well done.
Hopefully you've all enjoyed that. Let us know in the comments below what your take on the T7 is, whether you agree with what I've said or not. Well, that's the show for today, everyone. If you've enjoyed it, give it a big thumbs up. And if you think you've learned something new, consider subscribing or becoming a patron to help us make more of these shows. Cheers, and I'll see you on the next one.